Well, good morning and welcome to our webinar on negative items. My name is John Heath and I'm the directing attorney at Lexington Law Firm. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Rob Shiner.
Hi, my name is Rob Shiner. I've been with the Lexington Law Firm for 10 years in a trainer capacity, and I'm excited for us to get started. So, John, a common question that comes up is, what is a negative item on your credit report and why does it matter? Do you mind answering that question?
Sure. Well, a negative item on your credit report is generally something that is derogatory in nature. So it could be as simple as something reflecting a late payment all the way to a charge-off and even bankruptcy. And one of the most important reasons that this matters is that your payment history is 30% of your credit scoring. So this is a big chunk of the credit scoring models that go into determining your credit worthiness and whether or not you can get credit at all or credit at good rates. So Rob, with that in mind, what are negative items and why does it matter?
Great question, John. Negative items are items that are listed on your credit report. Around the holidays, kids oftentimes sing songs about Santa Claus making the naughty list and the nice list, but it's really actually the credit bureaus that are making the list. They identify the positive things that have taken place, and they also take an accounting of the negative items that have taken place. Some of the negative items that could show up on a person's credit report are things like late payments, where a payment is due to a creditor but not paid on time, accounts in collections or charge-off accounts, where a creditor attempts to collect a delinquent debt, debt settlement, where a creditor attempts a partial payoff, charging off the balance, a foreclosure, where a lender evicts a homeowner and sells the home, a bankruptcy, which is a legal procedure for dealing with debt problems of individuals and businesses, specifically a case filed under one of the chapters of the bankruptcy code, for example, chapter 7, 11, or 13. Or a repossession, the taking back of property by a creditor, usually due to a default. And then finally, hard inquiries. Hard inquiries are recorded on an individual's credit report when a third party views the credit report in response to an application to a credit. Now, these things can stay on a report for up to 7 to 10 years, depending upon the item, aside from the hard inquiries, which should only last for 2 years.
Thank you, Rob. That's most interesting.
So, John, what negative items shouldn't show up on your report anymore?
So as of 2018, judgments and tax liens generally shouldn't be showing up on any credit reports because it was determined that these records were many times inaccurate. So, the question comes down to what should you do if you see these items on your credit report still? And the answer to that is you should look into challenging these items on your credit report. They should not be there either by yourself or through a reputable credit repair organization or law firm like Lexington Law Firm.
Very cool.
So, Rob, what type of negative items can affect your credit score?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, John, there things like bankruptcy. Bankruptcy has the highest effect on your score. Repossession, a foreclosure, debt settlement, late payments, collections or charge-off accounts, and then finally hard inquiries. Now, hard inquiries, that's really where a creditor is looking to see if you're eligible for credit, and it doesn't show up in your credit history, but it can show up on your report as an inquiry was taken. So this counts as new credit being extended or at least being inquired about. So these are the things that could still show up on your score. Now, additionally, higher scores are usually affected more than lower scores. And older items are usually have less weight than newer items. The rationale is more recent events are greater predictors of future events. So The older the event, the less relevant it is to the future outcomes. So in other words, more recently, a negative item, whether it's a late payment or what have you, would have a greater impact on your score. Older things would have less of an impact on your score. So John, what can you do about negative items?
So there are a couple of things that you can do, Rob. First, you can build a positive credit history to offset the impact of negative marks. So the way that you do this, of course, is through being current on your credit obligations, making payments on time. So additionally, you can attempt to send goodwill requests or pay for delete letters to your creditors. It's worth talking to your lenders or creditors about these possibilities. And then you should check your reports for unfair, inaccurate, or unsubstantiated negative items to see if you can potentially get them removed. And you can, again, do that either by yourself, by challenging them with the credit bureaus and with the credit furnishers or your creditors, or you can hire a reputable credit repair organization or law firm like Lexington Law Firm. One last thing, to keep in mind is if an item is fair, accurate, and substantiated, you might just have to wait until it drops off your credit reports on its own. And so there are a couple of what we call statutes of limitations under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Generally, with negative items, it's 7 years that those items can remain on the credit reports. With the bankruptcy, it can be up to 10.
Very cool. One thing I like about this conversation, John, is mistakes happen. Sometimes it's through our own fault, whether it be something we didn't know anything about, or sometimes it's due to job loss or other events that are outside of our control. And so oftentimes when people ask me, why are you trying to take negative items off of a person's report, I just say, whenever a mistake happens, it's okay. We're all human, but we want to make things right. And so that's why we take a look at the negative items and we identify if they are fair, they're accurate, and if they can be substantiated. So this is what it's all about, following the law and making sure everybody gets to a good place.
That's correct. And remembering that there is a story behind each of these items on your credit report.
Absolutely.
So, Rob, we've spoken a lot about things that you can do and possibly do in order to remedy problems on your credit report. Tell us a little bit about how we can help you at Lexington Law Firm.
Sure, John. I've got to admit, Claudia, I don't know what's next.
Oh no. Okay. Well, this was just 100% you. Like, this is just how can we help you? Like, just Lexington Law, like kind of like a not like a promotion, but just like, we talked about negative items. Like how can, Lexington Law help you?
Got it.
Okay, but you're good. Because I was gonna say that I think we should do just one more take, just in, I like to always go through it one more time. We're doing really good on time. So if we do one more, we'll be done by 10:30, and then creative can piece it together. But when we get to this point, because obviously I just talked in it, then you'll know, like, how can we help you? Is just like, how can Lexington Law help you? Overall, you can mention obviously the negative items, but also like what we do as a company. And then that's it. There's no Q&A, there's no nothing at the end. So this is technically the last slide.
Perfect. John, okay. I apologize.
Oh my gosh, you're fine.
No, you're fine. I put you on the spot.
Well, no, you did great. And I looked at this and went, line.
No, you are good. Okay, I'm going to start from the beginning. But like I said, run through it exactly how you did. I think I also messed up in the beginning with my, slides again, because I realized I can't see what's next either. So I forgot to put it on my phone. So now I have it on my phone midway. So let's just do one more round, because then we'll be done. 15 more minutes and we will be all good.
Perfect.
So, okay, let me get back up to the top. All right, I'm going to present. I probably should mute myself. Okay, we are ready to go.
Hello, welcome to our webinar on negative items. My name is John Heath. I'm the directing attorney at Lexington Law Firm. I've had the pleasure of working here for the past 18 years. Rob, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Rob Shiner. I've been with Lexington Law for 10 years as a trainer, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you, John.
I am too, thank you.
So the thing that we're going to talk about today are negative items. And the first question that comes up is, what is a negative item on your credit report and why does it matter? John, do you mind answering that question?
Sure, thank you. So your credit report is a record of your credit history and other relevant information that is used to help potential lenders gauge how much of a credit risk you are. So negative items or derogatory marks are the things that indicate whether you are a higher credit risk or not, and can bring your credit score down. So generally thinking about this, a negative credit score can over time cost you more money. So you're not able to get credit at better interest rates. It may be at higher interest rates, or you may not be able to get credit at all. And all of these things can combine together to cost you more money over a lifetime. So Rob, what negative items can show up on your credit report?
Great question, John. On a credit report, you'll have positive items, whether it be open and current accounts, but there's also negative items that will show up. Such things as late payments, where a payment is due to a creditor but not paid on time. Accounts in collections or charge-off accounts, where a creditor attempts to collect a delinquent debt. Debt settlement, where a creditor accepts a payment as a partial payment, charging off the rest of the balance. Foreclosure, where a lender evicts the homeowner and sells the home. Bankruptcy, a legal procedure for dealing with debt problems of individuals or businesses, specifically a case filed under one of the chapters of the bankruptcy code. For example, Chapter 7, Chapters 11, or Chapter 13. A repossession, the taking back of property by a creditor, usually done due to default. Hard inquiries is recorded as an individual's credit report when a third party views the credit report in response to an application for credit. Now, these things can stay on your report for up to 7 to 10 years, depending upon the item, aside from the hard inquiries, which should only last for 2 years. Now, John, what negative items shouldn't show up on your report anymore?
Yeah, that's a great question. As of 2018, judgments and tax liens generally shouldn't be showing up on any credit reports because it was determined that these records were many times inaccurate. So they shouldn't be there. So if you do find these items on your credit report, you should know what to do. And the first thing you should consider is you can challenge these items on your own. However, the Fair Credit Reporting Act is complex as a statute, and the disputing process can also be complex and time consuming. So you may want to consider looking into a reputable credit repair organization or law firm like Lexington Law Firm. Rob, what type of negative items can affect your credit score?
Well, great question, John. As we went through the list earlier, bankruptcy can definitely affect your credit score. A repossession, a foreclosure, a debt settlement, a late payment, collections or charge-off accounts, and finally, hard inquiries. Now, hard inquiries have the lowest impact on your score, and they don't actually show up under payment history, but they do show up as new debt being inquired upon, or where you're trying to get additional credit. Now, additionally, the higher scores will usually be affected more than lower scores. So if you have a really good credit score, you want to be especially careful that you're making your payments on time, etc. Older items also usually have less weight than newer items. The rationale is more recent events are greater predictors of future events than the older event. The less relevant it is to a future outcome. So in other words, The farther something is in your past, the less relevant it is to your current credit score. Now, John, do you mind answering what you can do about negative items?
Well, you can do a couple of things. First, you can build positive credit history in order to offset the impact of negative marks. And what this means is that you should strive to make your payments to your creditors on time. So make those timely payments. So additionally, you can attempt to send goodwill requests or pay for delete letters to your creditors or to your lenders. Make a request to see if they'll remove things from your credit report, just based on the type of customer that you are. That, sometimes things happen in your life, and it's not fair that the item's there. You can make that request, or they may be interested in taking payment, and in exchange, deleting that negative item from a credit report. Finally, I think it's really important to check your credit reports for unfair, inaccurate, and unsubstantiated negative items to see if you can potentially get them removed. It's good practice and good credit hygiene to regularly check your credit reports and check for these items. And so you may notice items that meet these categories. They may be inaccurate. There's always a story behind an item, and it could be unfair that it's listed there because of what happened to you. And again, the creditor may not be able to substantiate that item that's been placed in your credit report at all. So you can make those requests to both the credit bureaus and the creditors to have those items removed. I think it's also important to note that if an item is fair, accurate, and substantiated, there are times that you may have to wait for the time period to expire. And what I mean by that is, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, there is a statute of limitations as to how long a negative item can be on the credit report. If it's a derogatory negative item, it's up to 7 years. If it's a bankruptcy, it's up to 10. So keep those timelines in mind. So I think it's important for us to talk a little bit about how Lexington Law Firm can assist you. First, Lexington Law Firm is a law firm. It is run by attorneys who have a lot of experience, have been to law school, operate under the rules of professional conduct, and we're here to act in your best interest, and also to give you information that will help you not only challenge items on your credit reports, but educate you to be a better consumer at the end of your tenure as a client. And so we're here to act in your best interest, and we have been effective over time and have the experience to assist you. Rob, is there anything you'd like to add here?
Yeah, absolutely. John, there's a couple of things you said in our conversation. One thing is that the attorneys with Lexington Law Firm are bound by professional codes of conduct. They also know the law. They stay current on the law. When laws change, whether it be federal law or state law, the attorneys stay up to date with those changes. It's important to remember that mistakes happen, and just because a mistake happens doesn't have to define you for the rest of your life. Don't go it alone. Come to those who know the law and can help the hardest working Americans get past mistakes of the past. Sometimes those mistakes happen at the consumer level. Sometimes they can happen at the record-keeping level. And that's okay. We just want to get back to where it's fair, it's accurate, and things can be substantiated. So rather than going it alone, which you can do, why not come to Lexington Law Firm and get the professional help that can get you to a better place?